They told me like when they went outside that their helmets are basically like easy bake ovens, and if the sun hits it, it's only a matter of time before their head turns into little raisins.
And then I hear this woman on the megaphone, "Wait, stop!" And she's like, "You could have been shot."
Actually, him in bed with the robot was his idea.
There's a certain realism, you know, in the photographs that I always want to try to capture.
That roof was actually dangerous looking, and I can't believe like a big Hollywood director would agree to stand on this ledge.
I've had the rare opportunity to meet many amazing photographers who move through the different landscapes to create powerful images. I'm always inspired by how these images transform the way we see people and understand the world. A great photograph needs no explanation, but on Capture, these incredible people tell the story of creating their most memorable images. I'm Mark Seliger, and this is Capture.
Welcome to Capture, and in my studio today I have the designer and photo enthusiast, Stephen Allen. So thank you so much for joining me, and the very talented fellow Texan photographer, Mr. Peter Yang. Thank you so much for coming. Stephen, you studied photography and film too, right, and design?
I did. I went to an art high school here in the city, but it was kind of a funny thing how I got into photography because my mother was getting her hair cut at this salon called Nardi on 57th Street, and the photographer had like quit that day, and they used to do these before and after shots. So they said, "Well, take the pictures. This is what we'll do. We'll pay for the film. You could use our darkroom. We'll give you the key, and you know, take it from there." So I thought, okay, I'll do this. This will be great. So they paid for the film. I used to do these shots for them. But then I had, you know, as a kid, I had access to this. It was a penthouse studio on 57th Street with a darkroom.
Peter, when you first started to connect a little bit to the history of photography, who were your influences?
When I first started, I only knew and I wanted to be a journalist, or a documentary photographer. So Eugene Smith and Eugene Richards and Eli Reed, a lot of the Gary Winogrand, the sort of the black and white documentary type pictures was what I was really inspired by. And I you know, worked at a paper and shot spot news and documentary for years. Then I realized I wanted to affect my picture more, and it's not ethical necessarily to move things around. So before I jumped that shark, I kind of went the portrait route. And it was really a great way to start out because I wasn't used to moving things and affecting things. So I think a lot of my early things felt more real. And it wasn't later on until I figured out production and all that. And starting with photography, I think Avedon influenced me a lot. And I didn't even understand what it was. I just thought white backgrounds were really cool, and I figured out how to do that, and I thought black and white was cool.
Kind of brings up this series too.
Yeah.
You went down during Occupy Wall Street and made a series of portraits that are all in white.
I owe a lot of it to my wife and my studio manager, who are both very socially kind of driven people, and we sit around and kind of talk about what's going on, and it was actually my wife's idea that said you should go out and photograph these guys. And I was like, brilliant. So we went out there, and thought it would be pretty easy, but it was really hard to set up a white background. We'd set up, in the first round of cops were cool with it, and the second round was like, get out of here. We ended up like bargaining with this guy to move his tent, and I'm sitting on a stack of liberal, radical library books because I can't get any further back. And we're like under these trees, and my silk is getting crapped on all day. And we're constantly breaking it up and setting it down because we're in like a pathway. We're right in like the middle of all the tents and all that. It's super refreshing just to pick people off the street, and not, when I'm doing celebrity, I always have an internal timer in my head, you know, and I don't want to reach the point where I'm told to stop, you know, and it's always figuring out when that is. And with these guys, there is no timer. It's just really get to talk and hang out and kind of hear, they're all really passionate about something. So just to hear their stories. They told me like when they went outside that their helmets are basically like easy bake ovens. And if the sun hits it, it's only a matter of time before their head turns into a little raisin.
I always find that the best photographers in fashion are the ones that have this dialogue with the subject.
I mean, I don't even remember if I was like wearing pants that day, because at a shoot, like it's just such a blur.